Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rhyme of the Times for the weekend in 19th of April 2025. McIlroy is the Real McCoy. Women's rights groups buoyed by an official definition of what's a boy. 6 women enjoy a ride in Jeff's new toy. Toby is coy about the tree it destroyed, leaving many annoyed. The government deploy its own management at a factory for a vital alloy. Around midnight on Sunday UK time, a round of golf went from ridiculous to the sublime. After a 14-year wait, Rory's story was once again at last one of golfing glory. The man from Hollywood in a Masters blockbuster needed an extra hole to win at Augusta. A double bogey to begin the final day had his overnight 2-stroke lead wiped away, but he was back to 4 up with 6 to play. Surely now everything would be okay. But again Rory blinked and Justin rose to the challenge right at the close. But McIlroy rose again and took control, rose above Rose to take the first playoff hole. He had finally shown that he could hack it, taking the green jacket and a huge pay packet. Rory McIlroy is just the sixth ever man to win all 4 majors for the golfing Grand Slam, and the first European to get on that roll, the sum of his parts finally achieving the whole. Reaching the hole very slowly, hole by hole, for 11 years 1 major short of his goal. Many records smashed that for so long had stood, a fairy tale of resilience made in Hollywood. On Thursday, the Supreme Court gave affirmation, a landmark judgment for our 4 nations. From now on in law we stick to God's plan. A woman's a woman and a man is a man. For the purposes of the Equalities Act, sex is determined by biological fact. From now on a woman, we have to assume, was female from the day she emerged from the womb. So generally it's all about chromosome Y, not the gender by which you identify. So trans women seeking sex-based protections for being a female will now face rejection. The pronouns for trans people, though, stay the same, i.e. how they're referred to without using their name. So a trans woman stays as her, hers and she, and a trans man remains as him, his and he. And for those that don't identify either way, it'll still be a case of them, there and they. A man's a man, but a trans man is seen as a woman because he's not got a penis. But notice the word he was used in that sentence, because that's the way he wants to be referenced. The saving of the steel plant in Scunthorpe was like a throwback into an 80s time warp, when Thatcher closed the mines for the sake of progress, leaving industrial towns in a state of distress. Only this time the industry and town in question were saved by government intervention. Scunthorpe's imposing British steel edifice at the 11th hour was dragged back from the precipice. The locals will continue to grub for their grub in a northern town industrial hub, and as Scunthorpe folk gave out sighs of relief, there emerged a national growing belief. A belief politicians now widely understood that the Chinese had been getting up to no good, deliberately grinding down the plant into dust, Britain's steel making capacity left to rust. More conspiracy theory than hard facts, but our politicians now clearly watching their backs. key industries with Chinese infiltration and perhaps an unscrupulous inclination, with their fingers in more British pies than Greg's, we could one day find our country on its last legs. Rich megalomaniacs can only go so far. Earth limits their ambitions, so they look to the stars. On Monday, Jeff Bezos sent a rocket into space. Inside, 6 women were seated in place. Familiar faces, all ready to face a launch into space from a West Texan base. Singer Katy Perry and Bezos' future wife were amongst those taking possibly the trip of their life. A short experience, but 11 minutes worth of shooting up 100k and back down to Earth. In a state of weightlessness, Katy sang to the girls the Louis Armstrong classic, What a Wonderful World. From Neil to Louis, one giant step for womankind. Super connected to life, as Katy opined. At the weekend, with echoes of Silence of the Lambs, an evil, unmanageable, dangerous man had 3 prison guards in a terrifying jam and exposed high security as a bit of a sham. The brother of the Manchester Arena bomber sees the murder of innocents as a badge of honour. Nobody was killed, but the 3 officers were maimed. With blades and hot oil, their lives nearly claimed. Why, despite years of numerous requests, are guards still not allowed to wear stab vests? Franklin was a separation unit, meant to be the best for keeping the most violent isolated and suppressed. Now Abedi has given 3 more families distress, while the Home Office has urgent matters to address. The Toby carvery, now let's get it straight, is meant to carve meat to serve on a plate, not carve up a 450-year-old oak, centuries of existence trashed in a few fell strokes. In the midst of essentially the blooming season came an act of blooming environmental treason. Health and safety apparently is Toby's reason.